And we're live. All right. Always a surprise when we. Oh, look at the really empties I got here. I'm gonna clean up a little bit. That's not empty. Oh, okay. I need that one. What's going on, guys? Jason Fitch, how are you? So Dallas is doing important things tonight. I don't know what he's telling us, but he told me last week he wasn't going to be here. Only I forgot that he told me that. Otherwise, I would have had somebody else sit in Dallas's chair. But no, you know. So I'm sitting here now, but just know that I'm actually psychically out on my motorcycle. I took we have a road behind the shop over here called Shores Road, and I just took the Buell out for a woof through there. So I'm like, you know, I don't want to be here. I want to be on my motorcycle. But how are we all doing here? James Elliott, Nicholas Fisher, George Barney, what's happening? Terrence Seymour, King Eric the Greatest, Margot Ciccarelli, Harriet Daisy, what's going on? Harriet, that's a name you don't see anymore. That's an old like Victorian name, right? Harriet. Um, let's see. Doug Narden, what's happening? Rocky Myers, where's Kiwi? Kiwi's at home. He's doing his thing. Um, Chongo 68, I like that. Chongo. I am me Chongo. That's gonna be my new motorcycle name, Chongo. Oh man. 1970 Fury 3. Hey Tony, I have a question. We're putting 5.2 Magnum heads on a 5.9 be a good performance upgrade. Somebody told me they upped the compression. Uh, no. I think it's a 1992, is it? Whatever the first year for the 3T Magnum, whatever year that was, that had a different cam head, and I think it had smaller combustion chambers. But somebody who knows Magnums much better than I do will jump in there and tell you what the deal is with that. Tony Amaducci, UT, what's going on? How am I? I'm seeing Italian names here. Oh, Harriet and Daisy are you beagles? Oh, okay. Then that's cool. I had I had a beagle named Daisy. She got hit by a car back in New York. But Daisy was, I mean, I've had a few dogs that like just stayed with me, right? I've had many dogs. I love them all, right? But Daisy was like, she was like part of me, and Trixie, who died about 4 or 5 years ago now, and now I got Maggie. Like I have a lot of dogs, but some of them just like find their way in there. Um, let's see. Uh, Chris Freemasser, what's happening, brother man? Greg McDonald, Franco, what's happening, man? I caught that lemon pledge. No, nobody's gonna know that. That's so obscure. That's so obscure. Nobody else would get that, but I got that. I got that. Um, let's see. Brian Bridgman, he told me he loved your coverage a while back with the Fox Body era. Any chances on some budget Fox content in the future? Maybe a Fairmont or Capri? Absolutely. But it's like I tell people right all the time. There's so many things I would like to get involved in. I'd love to do some import stuff. I would love to do some Fox stuff. There's a lot of I'd love to do a turbo car. There's a lot of things I would like to do, but I'm not going to do them on my own. So in other words, like I have my fleet, okay, and I keep it in a pretty narrow range in order for my own sanity, b the economics of it, because all of my cars share very common parts, so it's easy to stockpile and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to add anything else. But if somebody was to knock on my door and say, "Hey, man, I want to do this. I want to do the Turbo 4.6 and a Fairmont," I'd be like, "Yes, roll it in and let's get to work." So that's where we're at with that. There's many things I would love to get involved in. I'm just not going to do them on my own. I'm just waiting for that to come to my door, and I'm all in. Um, Mr. Will, what's happening? Raining Slant 6, what's happening, man? Dirty Knobs. Did you know the guy who passed away that drove his hearse down the drag strip? It was a GTX, I think. Not offhand, no. No. I mean, I might. It's not really ringing a bell. But Franco, lemon pledge prevents unsightly fingerprints too. Yes. Um, Tony, what's the story in the Wally? I don't know. That's Dallas's. This is Dallas's studio. This is like the official AHRE studio, and that's his big blue, really mic. And this is Dallas's setup, and we just use it for the Wednesday night tech things. Let's see. Joe K, what if the Junkyard Jet Guys' next project is non-Mopar? Would that be a possibility? That's up to the Junkyard Jet Guys. I got them started, and now they're running on their own, which is, I mean, that's what I wanted. And they're killing it. They're killing it. I know there's a lot of work that's going to get done to that Cadillac. John's talking about different things he wants to put in, different engines he wants to put in it. But Austin's got he's got that Grand Marquis. So there's a lot of there's a Fiero there that those guys have. So yeah, very good possibility. Any of those things could end up in the mix. Franco, when Adam Landolfi passed away, they brought him to Englishtown. Fast on, yeah, they already have 3,000 subs, right? Imagine that. The Kickendall, what's happening? Oh, you got a new name, bro. The Kickendall's Auto and Random Repairs. Nice, nice. Jason's Garage, what's happening, brother? Evan Settle. Hi, Tony. I'm a 16-year-old with a 73 Plymouth Valiant that badly needs a paint job. I was wondering if you had any color suggestions. What color? This is the thing. Evan. When you change the color of a car, right? There's so much to it, especially Mopar, because Mopar has like under the hood is body color, the trunk is body color. General Motors cars, Ford cars, they paint them black under the hood and like they spatter paint the trunks and all of that. But when you change the color on a Mopar, it's weird unless you do the whole car, and that gets extremely involved. You know what I'm saying? What was the car originally? What color was it originally? Let's see. Brian Bridgman, got to do a feature with Magnanti's Street Freak Match Bash Fairmont. Maybe a good matchup against Slayhammer. I agree. That would be pitching. Evan, it was gold originally. Hey, listen, gold is a nice color on those cars. Why don't you just go with a more like intense gold? I know the gold that they used was kind of like, it was kind of subdued. Why don't you go with like a more, or just a more intense gold? That could look pretty good. And then you don't have to worry about door jams and under the hood and the trunk and all that other stuff. Let's see. Danny Board was happening. Gold flake, yeah, short fake, gold flake, 70 style. Yeah. Do like a what do you call it? Do like a bass boat flake on that, man. That would be pitching, right? On a Valiant. Black and two-tone gold. Okay, seriously, do the roof black, right? Do the roof black and do the side of it, do the rest of it in like it's like a heavy flake gold. Bro, that would be a slick looking car. Brian Joss, if you had to pick one color for all of your cars, what would it be? Probably white. I'm not about to go repaint all my cars, but I think that white actually shows off a car's body lines. I always thought that white cars just, you know what I'm saying? It's like if you have a pure, like a beautiful car, and you just do it just a simple color like white. That's probably what I would go with. Doug Norton, Petty Blue. I've never liked that color, man. I never liked that color. It's like such a non-committal color. It's powder blue, baby blue. It's like, but not, and it's like, I never like petty blue. Yeah, white hides dents, it hides a lot of stuff. But I'm telling you, if you have a car with really nice lines, it accentuates the lines. It makes it look really good. Tyler Cermak, Tony, I have a nice low mile Virgin 440, but one cylinder got water in it and seized it. Would it be worth fixing? Absolutely. Absolutely. Be careful knocking the piston out of there, right? Okay, I did a whole video on freeing stuck engines, right? Find that video, okay? And that was the same thing. It was a 360. And it had the same thing. I had one piston that was stuck in the bore, okay? Um, Go watch that. Go watch that, and that'll give you some ideas. Absolutely, a Virgin 440 with one locked up piston. Yeah, man, go for it. Even if you have to overbore that, let's say the rest of the engine is fine. You can overbore one piston. You don't have to. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, oh, you got to bore the whole freaking motor. No, no, you don't. Right? You can go 10 or 20 over. If you go 10 over, you can replace a stock piston, stock size piston. And it's generally, if you got rust damage, 10 over is generally enough to clean it up. So there's lots of ways to go about it. Um, Michael Grayson Campbell. Hey, Tony, I'm embarking on a 500-mile drive tomorrow in a 350 small block Chevy. Any last minute things to check before driving or last minute things to pack? No, I mean, small block Chevys have been making 500-mile drives since, for 70 years now. You won't have any problem at all. Check the fluids, you know what I mean? Bring your standard breakdown box and enjoy your ride, bro. Um, Big Billy Racing got on late. Everything go with Dallas. Yes, Dallas just he told me last week he wouldn't be here tonight. He's got some sort of AHRA business or no name national business going on. I have no idea. But he told me last week he wouldn't be here tonight, and I forgot about that. Otherwise, I would have had somebody come. I would have had Kiwi come, or I would have had somebody sitting here. Al would have had Al come, but yeah, I'll do it myself tonight. Um, let's see. Nathan Wood, is there any way to find a reprint of a build sheet from a VIN? I got a 69 Coronet RT. I'm looking at getting it, and it came with a 440 HP 4-speed manual. Current owner has a 47 RH Transit. I don't have. I don't know. I don't know. There's probably a way, but I'm not. See, I'm not. I say I'm a Mopar guy, but I'm not one of them numbers guys. Like, you know what I mean? I can read a VIN. You know what I mean? But it was never any of any much importance or significance to me. What options the car originally had, so I couldn't give you a good answer as to. But there's lots of people who do it. Lots of people who can give you the right answer. See if you can find that guy Galen Gobi. If he's still around, he'll tell you exactly how to do it. Um, let's see. Moparly, hey Tony, in your experience, have replacement small block Mopar distributors always gone in with the rotor in the same position? Well, you're either right on or 180 out. The only thing that can change the position. Okay, so all of the distributors are indexed the same way. The tang and the rotor are all indexed the same way. Okay, so meaning that at the bottom and the top. So it's the distributor's name. The only thing that can make it go off from that index would be if the distributor drive is off a tooth. Then it won't. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Franco, I tried watching Steve Magnetti's videos. He gives me epileptic seizures too hyper. But you see, I like that because that's how I am inside. So I watch him and I'm like, yeah, I get it. I totally get it. I was watching last night. I mean, all of them bike content lately. And Kathy's like, you never watch any car stuff anymore. I'm like, I know. I'm a bike head, right? And I was watching some car stuff last night. And have you ever seen this guy Charles Phoenix? This guy is off the chain. Okay, he's into like the 1950s cars. Uh, he's, he's the absolutely the most entertaining guy. I think he's like the most entertaining car guy on all of YouTube. You check it out, Charles Phoenix. Barrel's Garage, great video you did today on torque, spot on. Thank you, I appreciate that. Tom Hughes, do you ever balance your own drive shafts? No. I got a buddy of mine, Chuck Yoder. He's over here in Mount Juliet, and um, anything anything welded, anything that has to be welded that like I got to put faith in, right? I send it over to him. The guy's a fantastic welder, fabricator, and all of that stuff. My skills are just passable, and I'm cool with that. That's all I really want. So no, I send whenever I've got to have a drive shaft on, I send it over to Chuck. Um, Franco, Charles Phoenix is a little light in the loafers. He's a lot light in the loafers. But you see, that adds to it, man. That's what makes him so entertaining. The guy's fantastic. Tim Huff, Phantasm Cuda or two-lane blacktop 55. Oh, definitely the 55. Definitely the 55. Um, Danny, well, what 60-foot tires are you getting with your Mustang? Yeah, it's a long time ago, bro. But I was in like the deep 1.8s, like 181, 183 was. But I don't think I ever saw a 1.7 with it. Oh, the junkyard jack. I said, nope, all by myself tonight. There's an echo. There's an echo. All by my lonesome. Frankie, you'd rather watch Charles Nelson Wiley? No, you're old, bro. Yeah, you're showing your age. He's Charles Nelson Wiley's probably been dead for 50 years, man. Tom Hughes, what do you think of modified rally rims when they strap them to go wider? Not my cup of tea. I mean, it doesn't offend me if if that's how you're going to achieve a wider wheel, then go for it. But not me. Um, Dumbass. Hey, Uncle Tom, did you Thunderhead 289 channel put a lawnmower carb? People keep bringing this up. Yes, I know. He got 41 miles per gallon at 70 miles an hour. Well, but that's fine. But is the car actually usable? You can cruise. It takes probably about 40 horsepower to run a car like that up to about 70 miles an hour. That doesn't really say very much. Short Fagan, go put on your GoPro and ride. Oh, dude, that little. Let me tell you, that little Buell is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's piped and it's jetted. It's only like 34 horsepower as is. What I mean, like factory. But I'll tell you what, that thing definitely makes more than 434 horsepower. It's probably up in a 45, 50 range. Because I got a Sportster at the house, and I'll tell you what, that thumper, that little fucking thumper, would absolutely pull on the 883. Now it doesn't make a rocket, but the bike is so light. The Buell, it's so light and has such a low center of gravity that it's just like wham. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. Um, let's see. Tommy, has ever tried a Dragon's Tail? No, I haven't yet. But I will. Brian Bridgman, gotta watch Cold War Motors. Absolutely, Cold War Motors is a great channel. The whole Uncle Tony in your postal address. I'll send you some Vegemite. I've had Vegemite. Yeah, I don't know how you guys eat that. Thanks anyway. I appreciate it. Um, Johnny C. Tony wouldn't ride inside the same car with Charles. I don't ride in the same car with any male. I don't care what they, what. It doesn't make any difference to me. I don't like to ride in a car with any male. Two Hacks, how you doing, brother man? Um, Tyler Cermak, thoughts on graveyard cars? Um, I got no thoughts. I got no thoughts. Um, Dakota, what's happening, Dakota? Um, let's see. John Sabo, is there anything happening with Kiwi's motor that was apart? Not currently. Not currently. I'm not sure exactly what he's. I don't know what direction he wants to go with it or not. It's apart and it's sitting here. And right now, I'm just focusing on Sledgehammer's motor. The goal is to have that car running under its own power before the end of this month. So we've got like what 20 days, 20 days to make that car run. So that's my focus right now. Franco, Tony, I sent you an email. I hope it doesn't offend Kathy. No, nothing offends. She's cool. Um, let's see. Mark Worman, Count Chocula. Count Chocula. Count Chocula. Um, Slanted Fish. Hello from Knoxville. What's happening, brother? It's moving a little slow tonight. Or is it me? Did this thing freeze? I believe this might have frozen. Hello, somebody type something, anything. All right, guys. It looks like we're locked up. We're locked up here. Okay, now it's moving. Dakota, testing. Yeah, it's lagging here. Yeah. So what's happening now is the chat is freezing and then it's going all at once. Tom Hughes, what does some of the oil control module do on the HP Slant 170? There are no. See, that's the beauty of it. The 170, because of the shorter stroke, it fits the package better. It fits the package the way it's supposed to. There are no oil control mods necessary to, other than a deeper pan, because that doesn't change. That's not going to change. But as far as like anything inside the motor, no, the 170s are perfect. They had, if you read the papers written by the engineers, when they did the 170, they had those things running on a dyno for $7,000. It's $7,000 for days on end, right? The 225 was an oil pig from the beginning. They had to do some shit with the rings to get it to seal or to get it to not be burning oil. But the 170 never had that problem. The 170 just sings. Fart Master Flash. When will Richard Ehrenberg be available? I have no idea. I haven't talked to Richard Ehrenberg in 35 years, 30, 33, 35 years. He does not like me. He never did, right? He never did. He never. He never made any bones about it. So. Franco, when you turn the pistons around backwards, do you put the rods in backwards also? What I do Well, it depends now, right? If it's got floating pins and it's not a big deal, I'll just literally take the piston and flip it around. If it's a press pin motor and I don't want to be bothered with, or take the potential chance of weakening the rods at all, what I'll do is just swap it to the other bank and then turn it around. So this way the chamfer stays against the cheek. Um, Built Ford tough to work on, right? They man, since after everything since the Model T, they make that little extra thing, makes it Ford always just that little gotcha, makes it difficult to work on. Um, Barrows, UTG, do you have any words of encouragement you could share with a Mopar guy that is trying Ford for the first time and going through the fun of built Ford tough? Oh man, words of encouragement. No, no, I don't really have any words of encouragement. Um, ah, you have to learn the ways. You have to learn, like the Ford has a design language, right? You have to learn the ways. You know what you're gonna if you're dealing with I don't know what year Ford you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a Ford from the classic era, I'm gonna tell you right now. Okay, so and you guys will know this stuff, right? You guys have played with multiple brands or go back to the old days. If you normally deal with, let's say, General Motors or Chrysler products from the era of the 60s, so the classic era, 60s, 70s, 80s, and you start working with Fords, you're going to find you're going to be breaking bolts a lot. You're going to be breaking a lot of bolts, right? Because Ford spec'd their bolts differently than General Motors or Chrysler did. And it's like they're super hard, right? And you're going to find yourself snapping a lot of things like starter bolts, anything that takes a half inch, right? A half inch wrench, like a 5/16 thread, you're going to break them. Because you used to wailing down like you do on a Chrysler or a GM car, and it's going to go snap. Tom Hughes, do you ever kick yourself for leaving the coffee business? They just built three more in town. Um, after the collapse, because I mean, as you guys clearly know, we're in the middle of a complete financial and societal collapse, and the shit is really going to hit the fan in July, August. Okay, and it'll last about 3 years. It's going to take about 3 years to iron out. And then, everything will be reset. And depending on who's in charge is how that reset is going to go. But that's besides the point. We're looking at about a 3 year collapse. After the collapse, yes, I'll probably get back into the coffee business. Tyler Sherman, I can't stand Ford distributor shafts. They're so hard to line up with the oil pump drive. Or how about when you pull the distributor out and you hear it go dink, right? Because 1 out of 10 times when you pull the distributor out of a Ford, it dislodges the oil pump drive shaft and it falls down into the oil pan. Ah, um, Brian Bridgman, what's your favorite, most memorable magazine article you've written? If if I had to pick one, right, um, it would be from Buick with balls. That was a drag test I did on a turbo T type, which incidentally was the very first Buick turbo car in the 13s. I ran a 1385 with it, and this was in like 1986, like a middle, I don't know, like the early 1986. Um, so I did that. Both the article and the sidebar, because after I did the article, I had more thoughts on it, and I went back and I did the sidebar, and that's how I know it had to be a good story, because I remember writing it, and I remember having to fit things in during the course of that. So yeah, I'd say if I had to look back and say there was one article that I'd say, yeah, man, I'm proud of that, right? I did a good job with that. It would be from Buick with balls. Joe K, Starbucks, no racetrack. Yeah, I go back and forth. I go back and forth. Vince Runcher, hello from New Jersey. My son is moving to Lebanon, Tennessee, mid-June. Everybody's moving to Middle Tennessee. Lebanon is 25 miles up the road over here, and it's a great city. It's a great city. He'll enjoy it there. David Leonard, it falls into the oil pan because someone forgot to install it with the pump. They removed the retaining clip so it could be installed from the top. John Wilburn, what's happening, brother, man? Good to see you. Hey, John, how's that battery holding up? The reason I ask is because that was the battery that we did that video on, and to this day, people still ask me, "What about the battery? You hit it with the arc welder, right? Is that battery still up and running?" J-Bo, people weren't used to seeing the word balls in a car magazine back then. You're absolutely right. That's why we had, very hard time getting advertising. The battery's doing great. Okay, well there you go. Anybody who's curious about the battery that we did, the stick welder battery thing, it's doing great. Serge, hey man, have you ever removed a cylinder from an engine with it still in the car? I've seen people do it on Hondas. Just curious. Yes, of course. Yeah, many, 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 many times. Tony, where are the mods? I don't know. I've got John Wilburn here. I don't know where the other guys are. They have lives. You know what I mean? They have lives too. Seymour Balls. Yeah, that was. Kick and Delta. The other mods are out chasing Bigfoot in the backlot with Daddy's money, guys. What's this about Bob Glidden? Mopar Mitch had to buy a new floor jack today. The old one only lasted 36 years. Oh, you see, they don't make them like that anymore. Trap slot. Why is trap slot blocked? Jason's Garage. Any preferences on flux core wire brands? I run over to Harbor Freight and I buy 3-4 rolls at a clip. I don't really have a preference. I mean, honestly, I'm not that proficient a welder to really notice the difference. I know that there are differences in the quality, but I run over to Harbor Freight. I grab a few rolls of the 35 wire and start feeding it through. Stoic Steel corn planting is a mess right now. The price of seed, fertilizer, and diesel is through the roof. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet. It's only just getting started. Tyler Cermak. Hey, Tony, I have a 440 with factory 10,000 undersized crank. Why would they do that? Well, because that was probably a a warranty engine. Assuming that it wasn't just done at some point. I mean, at some point it might have oil starvation and bearings stuck to it, and they cut a tent to clean it up. But if it came from the factory like that, it was probably a warranty motor. So what they would do is they would take the blems, right? They would take anything that needed a little extra work. Okay, so let's just say they had a crankshaft and the surface wasn't exactly perfect. Instead of sending it down the assembly line, the regular assembly line, they put it off to the side. And then when they filled their quota of engines that were going to go into the cars, they would then go back and remachine or clean up or whatever the leftover parts. And that's how you'll get engines from the factory that are 30 overs or cranks that are cut from the factory. It's just cleanup operations. Just it didn't, the machining wasn't perfect out the first time, so they put it on the side and they redid it afterwards. It's not uncommon at all. Um, Ginger, I got a 73 Polar with a 360. Was wondering where the two vacuum lines from the factory air cleaner go. One of them goes to a thermal switch. There's a thermal switch there. If you look, there's going to be okay. Look, open the hood. Okay, open the hood and look up right here. Okay, so here's the latch, and on the driver's side here's going to be a vacuum hose routing diagram, and it'll have that. And if you don't have it on the car, just Google vacuum hose routing diagram 73 Polar 360, and you'll find it online. Maro and Glucci, greetings from Australia. Greetings. Um, Bro, hey, what about the cafe bike that was discussed a while ago? Dirty old man. Which cafe bike? As far as I'm concerned, that Buell is a cafe bike. It is a perfect cafe bike. It's not retro. You know what I'm saying? It's not retro, but it's absolutely the definition of cafe. Let's see. Why are you guys quoting Ford firing orders? 1542637 versus 1372654 If Andy would have an educated opinion on that, I really don't. It means nothing to me. It means nothing to me. Tony, now is a good time to do more mile per gallon related videos. I gotta wait just a little while. It seems that most people are kind of in denial yet. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait and strike when the iron is hot. Mr. Will, you paid $466 for 93 the other day. That's cheap for 93. New York Long Island regular is $465 a gallon. I think I paid $415 today. What's this now? Stefan Paul, a coworker showed me his 66 Belvedere 1. This is a 1 of 54, 426 Hemi 4-speed car, and he's had it since 75. It's time to let it go. He wants 20,000 a best offer for it. Why would you even hesitate? That's 20 grand. I would dive all over that if I was in the market for something like that. Shooter McGavin, you love the MPG videos. Yeah, trust me, we're going to do a lot of MPG stuff. But like I said, some people are tuned into it now. You know what I mean? They get it. They know it's coming, right? But most people are oblivious. The bigger audience is still oblivious. I have to wait until panic sets in. When panic sets in, then those videos will have great value as far as views go. So I'm just holding off. I'm just waiting. I'm thinking by July. I'm thinking personally. I think everything is coming off the rails in July. But let's see what happens. Stefan Malazzo. Hey Tony, I'm going to be porting some heads here soon. I wanted your thoughts on dimple porting versus leaving the walls with its rough texture. Thanks for all your tips. The intake walls, leave them with a rough texture. The dimple porting is the same as it's the golf ball effect, and it's really the same as leaving a rough texture, an unfinished texture on the intake ports. The exhaust ports, you always want to have them as smooth and clean as possible because intake and exhaust have two completely different compositions. They two completely different characteristics. So you want your exhaust ports clean, smooth, as glass-like as you can get, and you want a texture on your intake side. What's off the rails in July? Everything, bro. Everything. Keep an eye on stuff. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I've timed it wrong in the past. I've timed things wrong in the past, but Brian Just, best vehicle for the parts shortage apocalypse. And that's the other thing too. Part shortages it's a real thing. It's a real thing, and it's going to get extreme. It's going to get extreme. You haven't seen anything yet. Just keep in mind, all of this is planned, okay? And the fact that it's planned means that, right? It's going to be super effective. It's not something that's going to just blow over. All of this is planned. So the parts shortage is going to be is going to be off the chain, off the chain. Louis Calderon. How much should I be paying for a '66 Charger roller? It depends. It depends. I mean, average condition, you know, and like the hard to find parts, like the headlight system, the lighting, the dash lighting, the tail lights. If all the stuff is intact, 5 to 8 grand. Um, let's see. Franco, buy silver to bargain at under $22. Try to find it at under $22. You know what I mean? Try to find it at under $22. Um, D. Scott Glenn, it's not a conspiracy, it's real. I know that. Yes, it's all planned. Absolutely. JM Bullion. So what's okay? So it's $22 an ounce. What's the premium on it? Okay, Frank, what did you pay over spot? 449 or okay, so you paid 450 over spot. So you paid 26, almost $27 an ounce. That's not bad. That's not bad. Fast thing, Tony, do you buy platinum at all? No, platinum is not a monetary metal. That's not saying it doesn't have value. Platinum, if you trade commodities, platinum is fine. Platinum is a good play. Although platinum manufacturing has a lot to do with the value of platinum. So you got it. Platinum is something you trade, you swing trade. But I say I don't do that. I'm in monetary metal, completely different thing, completely different thing. Lewis, okay, another question. Do you prefer a 67 Coronet or a 66 Charger for a first-time Mopar car? Go with the 67 Coronet. Now, I love the Chargers. I have one, okay? Um, but the Charger is difficult. They packed a lot of stuff into a Charger, and there's a lot of one-off things, a lot of difficult to find parts. The Coronet, infinitely easier to work with. And when I say infinite, I mean infinitely easier to work with. Definitely go with the Coronet if it's your first one. Um, D. Scott, what year did the 300 Hertz come out? 1970. Michael Rada, do you use a lead substitute? You fuel the 6070s engines? I do not. I do not. Danny Boyd, how is a Coronet easier than a Charger to work on? The Charger has unique everything. Okay, from the headlights, the highway headlights, and all the electronics that go with that, the electroluminescent dash lighting, the tail lights. Forget about trying to find. You'll spend $1,000 for a nice set of tail lights on those cars. They're insane. They're insane. Everything is different and unique on the Charger. The dash harness, right? All of these things on the gauge cluster, everything on the Charger was a pain in the ass. Where the Coronet, all straightforward, all easy to find parts, all common, easy to find parts. Um, Louis, thank you for answering. I've been a Pontiac guy forever, but trying to broaden my knowledge by getting into Mopar stuff. Welcome to the club. Tyler Cermak, how should home engine builders go about getting good lifters? Woof. Uh, NOS. Try to find NOS. When Andy did the Hemi, he found like 30-year-old Mopar lifters, like still in the boxes. Try to find NOS lifters. They're out there. They're out there. They're out there for everything. But if you can't go roller, you have to stick with flat top it. Definitely find NOS. And even the rollers are a problem. Hydraulic rollers, everybody has problems with hydraulic rollers bleeding down. I had that problem. And it's the same thing with that. If your best possible setup right now is a solid roller, right? If you go with a solid roller, you eliminate all of the issues that people have been having. Dakota, Dad has a set of small block Ford lifters from the 60s, 70s. Yeah, that's what you need. These guys go, Tony, have we seen you weld? Do you weld? My memory is shot. I weld poorly. I'll tell you what, gas welding, oxyacetylene welding, I will put my skills against anybody's. Okay. But when it comes to wire, MIG, or even TIG, I'm not the best. Captain Do, Tony, how long did that dead battery resurrection last before it went dead again? It hasn't gone dead. John Wilburn's got it in his truck right now, and he just reported on it. At the beginning of this live, John was on here, and he says it's doing fine. Zip tie Jedi just had 2 week lifters on my LS2. I might have had 2,000 miles on them. Don't know what I'm going to do when I pull it out, bro. I mean, John Wilburn. Oh, there you go. The battery is doing awesome, and it will keep the experiment going. See. David Leonard, thanks, Uncle Tony. You just jinxed solid rollers. Needle berries will be failing shortly. I think they already are, bro. I think they already are. Rating Slate 6, what about having your stock worn out original lifters machined by a competent machinist and have them induction hardened? Yes, you can do that, but I can't tell you who does it. Yes, you can do that. You can have your lifters refaced. Okay, slag hammer going to get painted. Yes, but not this year. Not this year. Lewis Condren, what do you use oxyacetylene welding for in your shop? Can it do body work? Yes, it can. If so, how do you control the heat? The same way. I've welded countless body panels with it. I've filled countless rust holes with the, using a torch. How do you control the heat? By controlling the heat. I mean, I don't know how do I explain that? Different tips, different tip sizes, different settings, all give you a different result. Raymond Campbell, with all of the shipping problems, a lot of substandard parts are out there. Yes, they are. SRP, can I use used lifters on an old cam or vice versa? Okay, you can use, all right, you can put new lifters on an old cam, right? But you can't put old lifters on a new cam. Did I say that right? I think I said that right. You can use new lifters on an old cam, but you can't use used lifters on a new cam. You can, like for instance, the motor, the cam that's going in slag hammer, that cam has already been run in. And when I took it out of the engine that it was in, I put the lifters in order. So when that thing goes into the engine, into the 3D3, it's going in there with the lifters in the same position they were in the engine that it came out of. Now, there might be slight differences in the lifter bores themselves, which would affect that footprint. So you kind of still want to almost go through a break-in process. You still want to coat the lifters with an assembly lube, a lifter lube, just in case, right? But that's the only safe way to do it. As long as you know that each lifter is going back to the lobe that it came off of, you should be okay. 815 LSX swaps. Hello, UTG. Hello, 815. Ari, what's happening, Ari? You did make it. People are like, where are the mods? Where are the mods? Well, there you go. Captain Do, I may need to use oxy acetylene welder on the truck bed of my project. Just don't use the trigger. Just like heat the dead spot for about 10-15 seconds and pop it. Yeah, well, you're talking about like an actual cutting torch that has a trigger on it. When you're welding FUBAR the axe. Okay, we're all safe now, except for the people who aren't safe when FUBAR is here. What was I saying? You use a different type of tip when you're welding. You don't use that cutting tip. Arthur Fiddler, Tony, how often have you taken a small block or big block motor apart and found the stamped rockers were greatly ovaled out where the shaft goes in? I found 2 or 3 per engine. Yeah, it happens. It happens. I inspect them all. And generally speaking, yeah, I'll toss on any given engine. I'll end up tossing 1 or 2 of them in the trash. Well, Al, what's happening? Invisible Dallas. No, Dallas. You see, Dallas told me last week that he had something to do today, that he wasn't going to be around today, but I completely forgot about it. Otherwise, I would have told you and had you come in tonight and occupy the chair. But Ari, I enjoyed the last video a bunch, Tony. Anytime I instinctively do something that's part of your process, it's really gratifying. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing with these videos. With like the last one, and the one we did today. I'm trying to do it in real time, so people can get an idea of the flow of a job, how the job, does that make any sense? How it flows instead of doing an edit, cut, edit here, do this, edit, cut, do this. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do these videos not as a live per se, but as close to live as I can, so that people who have never done this before. That's what I'm doing these videos for. I'm doing this for people who've never done this stuff before. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make it so that they can get an idea of the flow of the job, so they know what to expect when they're in it. You don't get that when you have a cleanly edited video. You don't get that feel. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm doing it in the style that we're doing it. Tony, can I move the microphone closer to you? Well, I probably could. Is that better? Charlotte, hey Tony, you doing okay? I'm trying to. D Sky Glue, flux core welders any good? I use them for everything that I weld. When I have to do aluminum or I have to do something critical, I send it off to my friend Chuck. He's a welder. I'm a mechanic that can weld when he has to. I have a buddy of mine who I trust with all of my intricate welding. Roadrunner James, is Valvoline VR1 good oil? I've never used it. I mean, I imagine it. I haven't heard anything bad about it. I've never used it, but I've never heard anything bad about it. It's probably okay. I mean, Valvoline is still a respected brand. You know what I mean? So, oh, Josh, how you doing, Josh? Thanks again for working on the satellite. At this point, you and Mopar Al have driven more than I have. Looking forward to enjoying it myself. Josh, I haven't really driven it. I did one. I brought it out of the parking lot. I flat punched it once and then drove it into the and that was when it only had quarter throttle. So Al's really the only person who's driven that car. You're going to be thrilled with it, bro. It runs really good. It runs really good, and that car is so popular. Read the comments on the video, the last video that we did on it. That car is just so popular. People love it, Josh. Kate Nelson, Uncle Tony, what is the most unliked Mopar that you think deserves some love? Cordobas. I love Cordobas. I don't have one. I'm probably not going to get one, but I do love them, especially the first 2 years, the 75, 76s. I don't know, there's just something about those cars. They're so cheesy, but yet so right. You know what I'm saying? The short little deck and a long hood. And I love those cars. Let's see. Steve Bico. First car I remember was my dad's 78 Dova, the green machine. Yeah, we had one too. It was a 76. Do you like the Dodge Magnum version? I prefer the Cordova. I just like the Cordova. I like the idea of the Cordova. Corinthian leather, right? Ricardo Montalban. Is it what Garrett has? No, Garrett. Yeah, he has the Charger version, which is essentially the same. Josh, I love that people are loving the car. Mo Paralo, yeah, I got a long list of plans for it. Yeah, it still needs love, but I'm telling you, man, that car is just people love that thing. They love it. Mopar Al, think I got the Harley straightened out. The fuel filter was clogged up. Dude, right? Seriously. So, tomorrow, right? Take the Buell, okay? I screwed around with it a little bit. Take tomorrow when you come in, right? If I'm not around, right? Take the Buell. You know Shores Road behind the shop over here, right? Take the Buell and let it fly. Just let it go, okay? Trust me, you're not going to be able to get the smile off your face. Paul covers a Bottle Rocket update. Zero. Nothing on Bottle Rocket until after Slaghammer is running. As soon as Slaghammer is running, we start working on Bottle Rocket. I can only do one thing at a time. Seriously, I can only focus on one thing at a time. Rick Johnson, 69 Swinger, 2-door, bench seat, 4-speed, small block, ultimate Mopar. Perfect car, bro. Perfect car. The Geo Killer 15. I'm about to buy an 88 IROC Z Camaro. 350 or 305? The 350s were pretty good running. They're pretty good running cars. I mean, even the 305 ran good. The 305 with the stick was actually a really good combination on those IROCs. Andy PDQ, rear-mounted V8 distributors are a pain. Why'd they do that? Packaging, man. It's more of a pain to mount a distributor up front because from a packaging standpoint, because now you've got your alternator or the air conditioning, power steering, you've got all of the stuff that heater lines and coolant, all of the stuff that goes on the front of an engine, and then you have to throw the ignition on top of that. So from a packaging perspective, it's easier to put it at the back of the engine. Now, at the front of the engine is superior, not for the obvious reason of it's easier to work on. It's at the front of the engine. It's superior because the ignition timing is less susceptible to the variations of the valve train, of the harmonics of the valve train, because the camshaft. Remember, as the cam is spinning and all of the lifters are acting on it, and the valve springs and everything, there's vibration and harmonics that get set up through the camshaft. And the further back you go, the more extreme they become. So the distributor being mounted back there, the only reason you can get a decent spark or consistent spark out of the distributor back is because it's the oil pump is acting as a damper. And the oil pump acts as a damper and smooths things out somewhat. But so the big reason to mount them back there is for packaging. Arthur Fiddler, Tony, I saw a sobering video about the damaged gas with 10% ethanol does to aluminum, meaning carbs. Where I live, California, there's no pure gas. Are you hunting down pure gas where you live? No. And I did videos on this. I run all of my cars on regular pump gas. All my cars run on regular pump gas. 10% ethanol pump gas. I never have even the slightest problem with all that. I have no idea where that shit comes from, other than certain types of carburetors like lawnmower carburetors, motorcycle carburetors that aren't directly vented to the atmosphere, whereas the gasoline deteriorates, it can't escape. If you leave If you leave let's say a Holly or an Edelbrock a Summit, a common carburetor filled with ethanol gas, if you leave it for 2 days and you take the top of the carburetor off, you'll see that it's bone dry. It evaporates out of there and leaves nothing behind. So that's nonsense about ethanol gas hurting. Now, it will hurt certain types of carburetors. Gravity feed carburetors that aren't allowed to evaporate completely, but slowly gas, as it turns bad, keeps replenishing the supply as it evaporates out of the bowl. Well, those, yeah, you'll have problems with that, but not with a car carburetor ever. I have 100% of my cars run on ethanol gas, and I have zero problems with it. Let's see. Travis Lostiglia. Third gen Camaros are the Confederate BMW. I like that. Charles Manson, Tony, do you have your carb bowls vented to the atmosphere? Yes. That's the way God intended it to be. Charlotte, you enjoyed the torque video. Excellent. Thank you. Dave Crow, hey, is it okay for the resistance wire to the coil to get hot on GM with points? Yes, that's how a resistor wire works. It gets hot. So yes, not hot enough to melt the insulation or anything like that, but that's the whole point. Vented to the atmosphere like a road draft tube. No, it's different, Joe. Zip tie ethanol gas seems to be worse on boats. I think it's because they sit around more than they get used. That's true. DD Speed Shop, what's happening, brother? You got a dizzy question. Of course, fucking Canadian, you're all dizzy. I got no ported carb vacuum, tunnel ram dual carb. So I hooked manifold vacuum with total timing set at 38 degrees. I've done it like that before, but the internet is roasting me. Bro, vacuum advance on a tunnel ram motor? Come on. Get that off of there. Set it for total timing and no vacuum advance on that. DD Speed Shop, DD Speed Shop. People love you, Danny. Danny and Danny. People love you guys. Full centrifugal. Yep. Just set it for total, bro. Set it for total and stop with that vacuum advance nonsense. Vacuum advance has its place. Vacuum advance, a daily driver, a regular car, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, absolutely. Vacuum advance is good, but not for a performance. You don't want the vacuum advance on a setup like that. Now, Zach Roberts, DD Speed Shop, bro, you're more popular on my channel than I am. I'm jealous now. I'm jealous. BS Custom, speaker distributors in advance and such. What's the problem with the old 70s Spark Box distributor things? I don't know what you're talking about, BS Customs. I just sent Andy Wood into orbit. Come on, Andy. Yes, Frank, a vacuum race is only for pod throttle fuel economy. Yes, Uncle Kathy is fine. Uh-oh, this thing froze up again. Oh, Mr. Will, Tone, please shout out. Bear Rose, Wild Rose, and I will be doing a live tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Greatest muscle car engines ever will be great. And Fubar just put the link there. So yeah, jump in there at Mr. Will's channel tomorrow night. Bear Rose, Wild Rose, and then we're going to be talking about the greatest muscle car engines ever. Applesauce. I've called her so many names over the years. She's had at least 100 different nicknames over the years. Oh wait, what was this now? Alan McElroy, Tony, I tried 87 and 91. 87 goes right through my engine. I swear I get at least 1/3 more of a tank with 91 gas. Uh, I, you may have a unique individual situation. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I've run back to back 87 and 91, and zero difference in anything that I own that I tried it on. Zero difference in fuel mileage. You may have a particular situation, but I don't know what it is. I'm not a psychic. Ari, Don Guglielmo's Dying Breed Garage. Don, I don't know. It's going over my head. Charlotte Cullen, how about the Top Fuel story you promised? Oh man, I'm definitely not in a Top Fuel mood today. Kay Nelson, UTA, found a cat and her litter of kittens under the hood of my car. Should I keep them or call the Animal Humane Society? Oh man, I don't know. I mean, do you have the property for cats, kittens and stuff? Because oh God, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. Kittens, man, put a post on Facebook Marketplace, man. Kittens, people love kittens. They'll be all over them. Levi, thank you for the super chat. Tony, we hit 325 subs and you took two. I know that happens all the time. Only 177 subs. Keep up the amazing torque videos. Very helpful for beginners. Thank you from the community and me. Levi, listen, that's normal. That's normal. I know when you have 325 subs and they take two, you notice it. Okay. When you get to a certain point, right? I've lost 5,000, 8,000 subs in one shot. So it happens. It happens. Because what happens is YouTube audits it out. What they do is they'll go through. There are so many people who sub to your channel and then like they lose their account or they move on, whatever it happens to be. They're dead accounts. And a lot YouTube will they do these audits. And when they do these audits, they clean them out. And you'll lose, if you have a smaller channel, you lose 2, 3, 5, whatever it happens to be. You get to be a little bit bigger, and you look at your sub number, it's like down 5,000. It's like, right? But no, it's just a normal process, just an ordering process that YouTube goes through. John Wilburn, Nivlac 57 will be live on my channel Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. We will talk scary fast turbo inline six stuff. Interesting. Tyler Cermak, hey Tony, what should my timing curve be for my daily driven stock 1970 Roadrunner with a 383 and automatic? 34 total is probably between 34 and 36 total, and you want it all in by 2000 RPM. You want it all in at the converter. So, and you want about 20 degrees. So you want to narrow it to about 20 degrees. So if you're gonna go 34, you want about 14 initial. Mike Batista, can the slag hammer have a 4-speed swap? It's possible. Running clutch linkage would be a real bear with that thing. We would have to go to a hydraulic clutch. Yeah, it's possible, but we'll see what happens. We're just going to run it for what we have right now, and then we'll go from there. Renegade Garage, welcome, my brother. Smacky's Garage, vacuum advance or no vacuum advance on a street-driven hot car? I say no vacuum advance. On the other hand, Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage, who is a tuning master, says yes, vacuum advance. So hydraulic clutches suck. Yeah, but the way that car is set up, we could only use a hydraulic clutch if we were to put it in there. Ari, does a hydraulic clutch even work on a performance application? My truck has one and it's so dang tractory. Well, that's all because of the ratios and stuff that are built into it, because it's a truck and you have a really long pedal. But I mean, almost everything built today, or every performance car out there today has a hydraulic clutch. Arthur Fiddler, well, you can't set timing by total without initial being the dependent result of that. How come you guy never say that, or you can set initial and let total fall where it falls? No, you don't want to let total fall where it falls, because total is where your performance is. Initial is your throttle response. Overall horsepower, overall power is through total. And what you want to do is you want to limit it. You want to limit it to, so let's just say your mechanical advance has a 26-degree spread. You want to limit it to 20 degrees. So your 34 will get you about 14 initial. SRP, Tony, you're gonna change out the overdrive 833. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. It's getting a regular 833. I love the gearing of it. I love the concept of it, but it's not shiftable. That's the problem with it. It's not shiftable. Two hacks. Tony, I have a dual point Mallory distributor for a 340. Should I look for new old stock parts to rebuild it, or fingers crossed and trust the new parts? Well, I mean, if the bushings are good in there, the only thing to replace really is points and condenser. I mean, are they in good shape? I mean, generally speaking, dual port distributors are everyone I ever get my hands on is very low mileage. You may just need to just clean the points up, file all points, and send it. You know, the best way to find out, seriously, the best thing you do before you go nuts trying to take it apart and finding all kinds of parts and shit like that, file the points, gap them where they're supposed to, put it in the motor, put a timing light on it, right, and bring it up to like 5,500, 6,000 RPM. Just wing it a couple of times and watch the marker, right? If you can do it with a dwell meter too. You put a dwell meter on the thing, timing light and a dwell meter, and rev the motor. And if you see the dwell dancing around, you know that the distributor's got a lot of play. It's got more play than right. And the same thing with the timing. If you see the timing start moving around, then you know you got to rebuild the distributor. But if those things, if the dwell and the pulse of the light stay relatively consistent all the way through the RPM range, don't worry about it, man. Just clean it up and stick it in the car. Mr. Will, Tone, crazy question. Why did they come out with 3 on the tree? So they can get a third passenger in the front seat. The earliest cars had the transmission mounted on the floor. But when they started, when they wanted to advertise, when they wanted to move to like the 6-passenger car, where you get 3 across the front, 3 across the back, the only way you could do that was by putting the shifter on the steering column. Ari, you had to put your tree on the floor. Rating 26, is the OD833 problem a linkage deal due to the reversal of the lever at the side of the cover plate? No, not at all. The problem is the difference in speed between first gear and second gear. That's there's too much of a discrepancy in the speed of those gears. And so when you go to shift, even slick shifting it, when you go to shift it, it just does not want to go. So we're going to pull that transmission and put a standard 833 in there. In theory, it works. In theory, it worked great. The car launches fine, and that long second gear is like ideal if you know to spray. It's there, and it lugs the motor, and you can run all the way through like that. But getting it from first to second is just, I mean, it's hit and miss. You know, it's like 1 out of 3 power shift attempts actually works, and I know how to power shift a freaking transmission. What if you cut gear? Yeah, even if you slick shift it. So even slick shifting it, the difference in speed between those gears is just too much. I talked to what the hell's his name over at Brewers about that, because I was like, okay, what can I do with this transmission to get it to shift? And he said, well, you can put a plate, you can plate it, right? But even that is going to be hit and miss. And you're only going to get a few runs out of the transmission before it starts to gall. And I was like, okay, done. That's all I need to know about that. One for the road. Engine run stand is just about done. First to go on is the 318 for the Challenger. Don't have a bell flywheel for it. Can I put the 904 on it and just plug the tail shaft? Yeah, as long as you've got fluid circulating through it, you won't have any problem. You know, connect the cooler lines. Keep it in park or neutral. And yeah, let her rip. She should be fine. Yes, just loop the cooler line, so you'll be fine. Ready, steady. Are you ever going to do some Fox body stuff? As I said earlier in this, I am not buying a Fox body. But if somebody was to show up at my door with a Fox body and say, hey, let's do this with a Fox body, I'm all about it. I'm just not going to buy one myself. Mike Batista, make a video on how not to blow up your stick trans. You know, how do you do that? They blow up, right? It's just the way it is. Mike Batista, power shifting is asking for problems. No. Auto 1383. Tony, are you building the transfer slag hammer? Do you have one ready? Yeah, we've got to put one together. SRP, can you put the 833 internals in the aluminum overdrive 833? I believe that you can, but I've never attempted it. I may try to do that. I don't know. All the other transmissions, all the regular, 4-speed transmissions I have are cast iron cases. I may look into that, but right now I slag hammer. I gotta keep focused on slag hammer. Once that car is running under its own power, I can 2 weeks tops. I can start focusing on bottle rocket and the things we're going to do with that. Renegade Garage. Any experience with Lenco transmissions? Only in fuel cars. I had a 2-speed Lenco in my fuel altered, and we ran a 2-speed Lenco in the top fueler for a little while. But that's my only experience with them. Joe K, after slag, after bottle rocket, what's next up? Probably my Charger. The Charger needs a lot of love. Car runs great mechanically; it's perfect. But the body is just and it's got that crunched quarter. It's driving me crazy. So the car's been neglected for a long time. I got electrical issues I got to square away with it. But yeah, once we slag hammer first, then bottle rocket, and then over the winter, because you see that's the thing with this channel. I gotta look at already to the winter. Over the fall into the winter, we'll be working on the Charger and the hypermiler. We're gonna do a hypermiler build on the that white 64 dart that I have, the 170/64 dart. That's gonna be a hypermiler build. So I have to get through the ones that we've got now, get them complete, and then that's in the fall. We're gonna start on those. Paul comes with Plansy just needs to get out and run. I just need to get out and run the car. One for the road. In my years, I never broke a Mustang T5 normal driving. Oh no, you'll never break them not driving normal. But I'm telling you, 200 runs on your 201 first run power shift in a T5, third gear goes away. I got to the point that I used to carry all of the pieces and a cluster gear. I could rebuild that transmission literally on the side of the freaking road. Charlotte Chrome, did you ever mix fuel for top fuel? Yeah, of course I did. Wow, you forgot about Cars Illustrated. How can you forget about Cars Illustrated? Right? Could you imagine that 35 years ago, right? We're doing Cars Illustrated magazine. Could you imagine that 35 years from, down the road, we would be sitting here, right, doing this? Is that the craziest thing or what? Oh, good night, Andy. Uh, Franco, where is Marty Short? He's still around. I haven't talked to Marty in 35 years. He's still around. Cars Illustrated. I was when we were doing Cars Illustrated magazine. I was 24 years old. You believe that? 24 years old. I was. One for the road. Cars Illustrated became Muscle Mustangs and Fast Forwards. Yep. Yes, it was more fun than a litter bomb. What happened? Mopar Black Knight. Mopar Black Knight. What has happened to the Gambler 500 card? That's Slaghammer. We decided to go a different direction with it. Charlotte Cola, tell us a green exhaust story. Oh, jeez. Franco, you got any green exhaust stories you want to throw out there? Walla Walla Bing Bing. Tony, ever associate with a South Jersey racer named Frank Pastock? I'm sorry, I've never heard the name. PT Dave 2002. Do you get a lot of videos and pictures from viewers showing you our project cars? Oh man, I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't even. We get so much mail. I don't look at it. I can't. Kanto von Meer. Not sure if you heard UT, but Marvin, Davey's right hand, recently deceased. I know. I heard about that on Sunday night, and I feel terrible about it. Young guy, 58 years old. I know. Franco, I don't know what a green exhaust is. He's talking about hydrazine, man. The Death Lizard SS. You guys remember all of this stuff, right? Tyler Summit, do you use green bearings in your 8 3/4? Yes, I do. I like the green bearings. They're not they're not the thing to use if you're into handling and shit like that. Don't. Okay. But for a regular driver and for a drag type of car, yeah, the green bearing is definitely the way to go. Kim fixes things. I have a couple of issues of Slant Six Racing News from 2005. Bro, we're talking about magazines from like the 1980s and the early 1990s. So tell the newcomers how hydrazine is an explosive. Hydrazine by itself in a drag racing application, hydrazine by itself isn't really an explosive. It's an exciter for nitromethane, and the explosive part is a byproduct. What happens is it fumes when you mix hydrazine with nitromethane. It fumes, and wherever what fumes off of it will gather, and it creates like a crusty substance, right? That crusty substance is the metazoic salt of hydrazinium acid, and that's a shock sensitive explosive. But nitromethane and hydrazine as a mix by itself is not necessarily explosive. The $12.99 for $12.99 Roadrunner. Yep. BS Customs, isn't it hydrazine and fumic nitric acid auto ignites? They use fumic nitric acid was another exciter that they used with nitromethane in the very late 50s, the very early 60s. It didn't work very well. Hydrazine was a better choice. And it came and went. It was big in 62, 1960, 60. Well, Karamashini's ran 204 at Alton, Illinois in 1960, which is crazy, right? You think about going that fast at that time on hydrazine. And then you had, well, okay, it appeared through different periods during the match bash days, 65, 66, 67, the funny car guys. Eddie Sharpman ran a lot of hydrazine. In fact, I got I'm going to tell a story. But and then later on, it came back again, around again in the late 1980s in Funny Car. Ed's Machine, what's happening, man? SRP, I'll sub to anyone here that types SRP rules. Spider-Man UT, have you ever driven or road tested the 1987 Buick GNX back in the day? Okay, trivia. Okay, in the 1987 GNX rather, they put a book in the glove compartment, okay, that was specific to those cars. And in that book is a quote from my story, and it's credited to me, Tony DeFeo. Every 1987 GNX came with that book in the glove compartment, and there's a quote from my story from Buick with Balls, which we talked about earlier in this live. There's a quote, my quote, in every GNX. But yes, I did drag test it. Zip Tie Jedi, thanks for doing these live videos all the time. It's always entertaining and informative. I look forward to them. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. This is my time to commune with the viewers. You know, YouTube isn't supposed to be a one-sided thing. It's supposed to be a community, a give and a take, and you know what I mean. But unfortunately, it just takes so much time, so much headspace to deal with like the regular comments and everything, that I feel that it's just better to commune with anybody who really wants to talk, ask questions, make statements, tell me I'm an asshole, tell me whatever it is. I think that it's so much better to do it, to be able to do it on a live, and that's why we do these 2 lives every week. BS Customs, do you need an in-house paint millennial? I'll sleep on the couch. I can be there in a day. I'm good, man. Thank you, though. Charlotte, Tony, when is your next Mignati team up? You and him click. Okay, that is a good question. I will text Steve as soon as I'm done with this, and maybe we can get him to come on Sunday night. Jacob Mack, appreciate the big block build videos recently. I'm getting ready to assemble my 440. All of the tips are very helpful. Well, tomorrow we're gonna put the top end of the motor together. So hopefully you'll get something out of that. Thumper, gearhead communion, sip the 90 weight, munch the carbon wafer, pray the wah 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 if the 4-speed gods. Tyler Subic, Tony, do you use the exhaust block off valley pans? I don't. I've had those burn through. No, typically if I'm building an engine for myself, I fill that hole in the head with weld. I weld it closed. So this way I can swap intake manifolds back and forth and I never have to worry about it. Gavindale, how much weight difference between an LA and a 3D3? About 100 pounds. Not quite. It's 100 pounds between a small block and a 440, and it's like 75 or 80 pounds between a small block and a low deck motor. Dizzy Izzy, I'm subbed here. Show my comments, please. Well, there you go. BS Customs, do you have to use a Valley pin like the Valley pin and a Ford 335 series, or can you just silicone and hope the gaskets or something? No, the Valley pin literally covers the Valley on a big black Mopar. John Mounts, well, would you do a video on how to select a machine shop for engine work? I need some work done, but I'm in Florida and would like to know what to ask. Okay, if you're in Florida, right? Well, I don't want to step on anybody. Ed's Machine, I don't know where you're located. Ed, are you in Florida? Arkansas. Okay. I didn't want to step on you just in case you were in Florida. You asked about Florida. Look up. Who was asking about the Florida? Oh God, see. Oh, John Mounts. John, look up Scotty Guadagno. Guadagno. Scotty's an old friend of mine. He's a master machinist. He runs a PG in Brooklyn. It was called PG Performance, but he's down in Florida now. Look up Scotty Guadagno and tell him I sent you. Screaming Seaman, how about making a video on pre-machine shop prep to save most money in labor? I think we've kind of already covered all of that in various videos, but it might not be a bad idea to put all of that together in one video. How to assess what you've got before you send it to the machine shop. Because as John Wilburn has pointed out, and I'm not saying machinists are all out to get you, right? But basically, a machine shop has never seen a machinist has never seen a surface that didn't need refinishing. So because that's what it is when you're a machinist, that's what you see, right? So being able to assess what you've got before you send it to the machine shop and tell the machine shop, I want you to do this and this and this, that can save you a lot of money. And yeah, we probably should do that video all alone, all by itself. Automobile, how about a 4.7 volt? How about not, man? How about every 4.7 experience I've ever had ended in, why did I even touch this friggin' thing? Brent Mollenhauer, Tony, I have an iron 426 Hemi built by Keith Black in the 80s. The mains are stamped to be 90 foot-pounds instead of the factory 100 foot-pounds. What would be the purpose of that difference? I couldn't tell you. It's close enough. It's close enough. It might have to do with the bolts that he used. I don't know. Charlotte, Tony, would you tell Steve Magnetti I admire his 60s model videos very much? I started as a master model builder. Why don't you tell him yourself, man? Go to his channel and mention, go to his latest video, whatever his latest video is, and throw it out in the comments. I'm sure he reads them. Mongrel's Garage, the timing chain is fun on a 4.7. What a piece of shit, right? What a freaking piece of shit. That was the thing that they used to replace the Magnum, the LA, the small block, the motor that went right back to the 1950s and just did everything right, everything that it was supposed to do in the simplest of ways. And that radioactive turd 4.7 is the answer. That was the better than, please. Tom Ashton, since some of us don't have expensive measuring tools, what do you think about laying the crank in a clean surface and pre-assemble the rods using a plastic gauge to check clearance? Yes, What's wrong with using plastic gauge? Plastic gauge is awesome. Um, but then again, measuring tools are not as expensive as they used to be. So I mean, you could buy a full set of mics relatively cheap, like under $100, you can get a decent set. Yeah, the 4.7 has some issues to be sure. Yeah, its issue is a piece of shit. It's an ill-conceived piece of shit. One for the road. Board gauge set at Harbor Freight for like $30. Yeah. See, I'm old school. I don't really, I use the ring and the light method. You know what I mean? Yeah, I have a board that I've done things the same way that I've done them really for the last 45 years. So I do a lot of things that are by eye, by feel, but yeah, measuring tools are not what they used to be. It used to be, you go back 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you were investing some serious loot, you know, in machine, in measuring devices, and it's not like that anymore. Leighton Welding, Tony, I'm needing my block clean inside and out. Do you recommend electrolysis at home for cleaning it? If you can, I mean, if you can come up with a container big enough, I mean, I know people use like kiddie pools and stuff like that to do electrolysis on blocks. I have never done electrolysis, but we have two motorcycle tanks here. I have one on my '61 Sportster, and we've got one on a Yamaha dirt bike in the shop there, and we're going to set up an electrolysis. Like I said, I've never done it, so we're going to set up we're going to do both of those tanks with electrolysis. Juicy Taco, are you knowledgeable in fuel injected cars and fuel injected car tuning, specifically 90s era cars? In the 80s, I was the first in the water with injected cars, with the 5 liter Mustangs and all of that. Yes, at one point, I was very on top of EFI. I'm not anymore because technology has changed, methods have changed, the equipment parts have changed. But yes, in the day, I was very up on that. Um, SRP, you missed the 80s and my mullet, I guess you mean. Um, Big Billy Racing, oh Tony, do you have any experience or opinions on the big block Mopar Edelbrock Victor heads? I do not. I do not. But I mean, a quick Google search will get you all the information you need. Um, One for the road. When Tony was into EFI, desktop computers were only $5,000. It's true. And his cell phone came in a piece of luggage the size of your flight carry-on. Also true. And so if you have all the comments, I right, you read that one. Escort Fuzzbusters. Screaming Steven, Uncle Tony, is that whole 302 500 horsepower limit true? Detonation is the killer. Detonation is the killer. You can if you can keep the motor out of detonation, you can get 1,000 horsepower. You can get 2,000 horsepower out of a 302. It's not the power that kills those blocks; it's detonation. Hemi Head, what's happening, Hemi Head? Um, Charlotte, any way to figure what a current top fuel ET and mile per hour will be in the 1320 in 2022? I really have no idea, man. I am so removed from all of that. I mean, I'm really removed from that. That's that's in my distant past. I have no idea what they're doing today. John S. Noticed slight play in the U-joint straps to cap. Can see light between the straps and cap. Oh no. Maybe 10, 20,000. Worry, 3,000 miles since rebuild new joints. Yeah, worry. Yeah, fix that. Tyler Cermak. Tony, what's your method of storing all of your auto parts? I strew them about. I strew them about and keep a rough mental inventory of what I have. And then I'm often pleasantly surprised by things that I completely forgot that I even had. And then I'm equally befuddled by things I swore I had. And this is my daily existence. So that's how I store my parts. Um, Kim fixes things. Where would you move if you were going to start a little shop and keep doing YouTube content? If you were just starting out, Kim, I got to tell you something. I mean, I'm in Nashville, right? Or I'm south of Nashville. There is no better place, right? There is no better place in the world to do YouTube content. I'm sorry, this is it. This is ground zero of good. And you've got, I mean, like just in the last year, Whistle and Diesel moved to one. I'm on one side of the city. Whistle and Diesel's on the other side of the city in Murfreesboro. Vice Grip Garage. He's 40 miles down the road in Lewisburg, Middle Tennessee. This is the place. You know, Scotty Kilmer is up in Clarksville. There's a lot of automotive YouTubers that are moving to Tennessee, Middle Tennessee. This is the place. Barrow's Garage. UTG, back in the day, what was your average phone bill after all those long distance charges? If it was like me, I remember over $1,000 a month just to talk to people. That was exactly, $800, $1,000 a month was like not out of the question. Yeah, Mecca for the mechanic. It's Mecca for everything. I'm telling you, I love this place. I honestly do. I'm here for 20 years, and it's like there's there's nothing that would make me leave this area. I love this place so much. It's not funny. I mean, honestly, I'm grateful, right? Every time, like, you know what I mean? Every time I stop and become aware of my surroundings, you know what I'm saying? Because you go through daily life, right? And you take things for granted. You just take your surroundings for granted. They just are, okay? But literally, to this day, 20 years later, I'm here for 20 years, And anytime that I become aware of my surroundings, you know what I mean? Like, the area, the region, the people, anything, I'm still grateful to be here. You know what I mean? It's like that. I mean, that says something. That says something. Back in the day, you needed Bill Gates' blue box for phone bills. It was crazy, Franco. It was crazy. and it was always in the middle of the night. Like, I can't tell you how many times the phone would ring. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's whichever whack job racer I was dealing with at the time had to brainstorm a problem or whatever, and it was the phone rings at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're still yapping as the sun comes up. Was that trophy? That's Dallas's. That belongs to Dallas. Um, Steel surgeon, how much vacuum should a stock 78 truck 440 have at idle? Initially 18 degrees, total is at 34, 2500. Idle speed is about 8. That sounds about right. If you're only pulling 16 or 17 inches, I mean, it's a stock motor and you're only pulling 16 or 17 inches. It's just tired. It's probably just tired. Um, so, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. We're coming up on the 2 hour mark. Um, Anybody needs to promote anything or whatever, do it now. Get it out there now. No-name nationals contenders. If you want to throw tell people, give me a channel. Let them know what, Um, Dallas will be back next week. Um, I think that's about it. So, as always, anybody contributed to Super Chat, thank you so much. Greatly appreciated. Everybody contributed just with your presence. Thank you for that too. Good questions, good conversation, good company, great community. Thank you guys, all of you. Thank you. Um, and Armand's, Airy John, Zero Fubar, they came and went tonight. I'm not even sure which one we hear, but they're always here. One of them, all some of them, are always here doing their thing. And that's it. Mopar Al, give him a sub. Daddy's Money's Garage, the Junkyard Jet Kids, they got their channel going. They're pumping content, right? Go give them a sub. And I'm going to text Steve Mignetti right now and see if I can get him lined up for Sunday night. I love having Steve on. He's a lot of fun. So that's it. Excuse me. I am pulling the plug and I'm going to jump on my motorcycle and I'm going to go do stupid things on my motorcycle for a while. So that's it, guys. I'm out of here. Good night. I'll see you on Sunday.